Hi guys, I'm Anita and I'm back with another video. Today I wanted to share with you the books that I've been reading so far in January because actually first of all I'd like to thank everybody who commented on my previous video because that was really helpful. I was feeling very stressed out last weekend. I was not feeling well about the things that I was reading. I was not sure what to do, and everyone who commented was just really supportive and came up with a number of tips that I found really useful. So if you are struggling, I'll definitely suggest go and look at some of the comments because they were all helpful. And I made some changes last weekend and they definitely improved because I have managed to finish 5 books this past week just because I changed up some things. And I got into a really big reading groove of reading about 230. On average, this past week I've read 232 pages per day, which has been insane considering before I had a hard time even hitting 100 pages a day because I wasn't enjoying what I was reading. And that was a big part of it. And I felt overwhelmed with my TBR. And what I decided on doing was actually just completely forgetting about my physical TBR books for a moment and deciding what books am I actually excited about reading right now. And I stuck to a few of them from my TBR, and then I went and looked on my TBR unwrappings and looked at what I had to read and what I was most feeling like. And then I got started to work on my serious books for the Stacking the Series challenge, which has been something that I still want to do because I really want to read all of these series. I'm very excited about all of the series. And so, yeah. But now let's get into the books that I have been reading. I have finished a total of 8 books so far this month, so I will talk about those now. The first book I finished this year was not a super fun read. It was Moonlight by Robyn Carr, the 10th book in the Virgin River series. I've talked about this series a couple of times on my channel, and I keep getting more and more frustrated with the books and my enjoyment of them with every book because they are all more or less the same. Nothing new really happens. Even the characters that I introduced, they are just so similar to the other characters that's already been introduced in this series, and it was something that really bothered me when I was reading this one. And then the character that I liked the least in this one was just so frustrating and had way too much of a voice in this book than I cared for. So I ended up giving this book 2.5 stars. Actually, I think I actually changed it to 2 stars when I was writing down the books in this little sheet. The next book that I picked up was the first one I read for the Stacking the Series challenge for 2020, and it was the 3rd book in the Coffee House Mystery series. It's called Latte, and it's by Cleo Coyle. Now, this series is following this woman who is part owner of this coffee shop. And apparently it seems a lot of people are dying around her shop. So that's also something that happens in this one. One of the customers in this is poisoned from a drink that is served from this coffee shop. And so instantly the person who served this is assumed to be guilty of trying to poison this girl, a woman, and this man, and they died of it. And then the story goes from there. I really enjoy this mystery series. It's very comfortable reading it. It has a good feel. I like our main character. The only thing that's a little nagging is that I feel like the series wants us to see our main character getting back with her ex-husband, which I personally don't really care for. So that is something that drags this down a little bit. But I hope that I'm wrong and that it is in fact something that she don't want to do, but she's just confused with all of her feelings because she still has some feelings left for her ex-husband, but decided to let go of him completely when he became a cheater and stuff. So yeah, but otherwise I really enjoyed it and I gave it 4 out of 5 stars. The 3rd book that I finished was another audio that came in from my overdrive, and that was A Madness of Sunshine by Nalini Singh. I've never read anything by Nalini Singh before, and I'm much more interested in her urban fantasy and paranormal romance type of stories. But I decided to go with this one because it was available at the library and I was curious. So I put a hold on it, and then it came in like straight away. It said that there was a couple of weeks before the hold come in. And I think that's one of the things that stressed me out, because suddenly I also had to think these books into my TBR, even though I didn't really have room for them. But let's not focus too much on that. This is a mystery thriller set on romantic suspense, I would say. It's more on the romantic suspense aspect of things, I think, without being overly romantic. But it's set in New Zealand, which was interesting because I haven't read very much set in New Zealand, so I was happy about that. But the overall mystery we were following and the characters we were following didn't really connect to me at all. So I didn't really get from this as I wanted, what I wanted to, and I ended up giving it 2.5 stars as well, or 2.5 stars, and that's just what happened with this one. I'm really sad that I didn't give it a higher rating, actually, because I really wanted to like this, but there was just too little that I really found exciting, and the reveal wasn't super interesting. There was a part of it by the end that I liked, where about the villain, but overall it was just wasn't enough for me to give it a higher rating. Then introduced my switch in my reading over the past week. The book I picked up was something that I wanted to read that was quick and easy and fun and fluffy, because I was feeling like I looked at my shelves and what was I genuinely most interested in reading right now, and the book that I picked up was All My Friends Are Superheroes by Andrew Kaufman. This has actually been one of my most anticipated of the unwrappings that I did, so I knew I was interested in reading this. It's a really quirky, fun book that I don't think I can say it's the same as something else, because it's so different than anything else I've read before. It follows our main character Tom, who is living in this world of superheroes, but all of these superheroes, they have really, really lame superpowers, which are explained like in sections. There are just all of these superheroes are explained what their knack is, if you will. Our main character has just gotten married to the perfectionist, but what happens is that on his wedding day, on his wedding night, one of the perfectionist's ex-boyfriend shows up, and he is called the hypnotist, or the hypno, I think, and he hypnotizes her to believe that she can't see Tom, and so she can't see him. And so in this book, he's trying to figure out a way to make her see him again, so that, because she's on her way, this is set in Canada, I think they're moving, she's on a way to a plane from Toronto, I think, to Vancouver to start a new life. So he feels like he has to make sure that she sees him before they get to Vancouver. This is taking place from the airport and until the landing in Vancouver, but otherwise this is happening. They keep switching back and forth to what happened prior to this, like from their wedding and from their things that led up to the wedding and things that between the wedding and this trip. And yeah, it was really, really funny, and some of these superheroes are super lame. We have the fallen girl. The fallen girl won't go higher than the second floor of any building. She's never set foot on a balcony, and the floor is the only place she'll sit. A small sample of things she's fallen from includes trees, cars, graves, first-story windows, horses, ladders, bicycles, and the wagon, countless kitchen counters, and her grandmother's knee. And the stress bunny. If you arrive at a party and suddenly find yourself completely relaxed, there's a good chance the stress bunny is there. Blessed with the ability to absorb the stress of everyone in a 50-foot radius, the stress bunny is invited to every party, every outing. Her power originates from the strict Catholic upbringing. I think that's funny. And I actually laughed out loud with one. And I will like to say that I was extremely tired when I read this passage. But another superhero in this is called the main character. And he refused to be included in this compendium. But overall, I really enjoyed this one. It was funny. It was what I needed at the time, and I gave it 4 out of 5 stars. The 5th book that I finished was Lioness Rampant by Tamora Pierce, the 4th and final book in the Song of the Lioness quartet. I would like to say that obviously I still have this Discord server where we're trying to discuss the Alana books, and I will leave a link to that in the description box below so you can join me and try to catch up, because I'm planning on having a break from this series now, so in order to let some people catch up if they feel like it, to see if anyone would like to participate, because right now we're not very many who are reading this, and I hope that some more will join in on the fun. And they're really fairly short reads as well, so you can easily catch up to this. With this book being the last in the series, I was expecting something, I don't know. Overall, I enjoyed this series, and overall, I really liked Alana. I liked the world we were setting. I liked the fact that it was balancing both, like, being a knight and that part of the magical fantasy world, but that she was also capable, our main character is also capable of having superpowers, magical powers. I was just thinking about superheroes. Magical powers that she could use for different benefits. I really enjoyed the cat. The cat is a sort of goddess in this one, and it's a spirit. It's an animal that has a big, close relationship to our main character, Alana, and I really enjoyed that. I didn't care for the romantic elements, and so that dragged it down a little bit, but overall I enjoyed it, and it was what one thing, an audio that I sort of needed at the time to make, because I was really feeling like reading it. So I read that and enjoyed it and gave it 4 out of 5 stars. I listened to a Danish audio because I couldn't get a hold of the English audio from the library that I've used to, and I really enjoyed the Danish narrator, but I think there's something off with the audio that I was listening to, because when there was still, like, I think an hour left of the audio, it suddenly said, "This is the end of the audio." I was like, wait, what? Here ends, like, the audio of Lioness Rampant, that's just in Danish, obviously. And then it just jumped off to something that I'd already read before, and it started talking about that. I was like, what happened here? But I overall enjoyed it, and I gave it 4 out of 5 stars. I know it's not everyone's favorite, but I also think that the first book and the second book were my favorite in the series, but I overall enjoyed it, and I give the overall series a 4 stars. But I'm looking forward to the next quartet. I think I have a feeling I might like the Immortals quartet a little bit more than this one, but we'll see when I get to it. I think I'm gonna keep at least a month's time, or maybe more, for people to catch up if they feel like it, depending on if people start coming to the Discord server, then we'll see how it goes. The 6th book that I finished was A Scandal in Spring by Lisa Kleypas. This is the last and final book in the Wallflower series, and this one follows Daisy Bowman, who is the younger sister, or older sister? Who is the sister of Lillian Bowman, who was part of the 2nd book, I think. I really enjoyed this book. I really enjoyed all of these books, but the 2nd and the 4th one is the one that stood out the most to me. And Daisy is a reader, so she's already has some points in my book, and she is not used to thinking that anything could be better than what is described in the book, and so that's a lot of things that takes from this. And I like that she was a reader and she was looked down upon because she was a reader. That was weird, but people didn't really get why she was reading, because girls shouldn't be reading, but she did anyway, and I really enjoyed her. She finds herself, her dad wants her to marry a man, and if she hasn't found herself another suitable husband for herself, she will marry, I've forgotten his name, but it ends up being actually the one she marries, because not right long after that she stumbles upon him. It's like a childhood acquaintance that they knew from childhood, that she really didn't like him back then. She didn't like how he was acting, she didn't like how he was looking and all of that. But then he walks in and he is like the perfect example of her own, the men from her own, the books that she's reading, all of the men from the romance novels that she's reading, and he's everything that she wanted, and she doesn't really like to come to terms with that. But overall, I really just enjoyed this. I thought that our main character is really, really interesting. I really liked her. I think they're also a lot really humorous, these books. I really enjoy how Lisa incorporates humor into these stories, because that was definitely, I found myself laughing out loud quite a few times as I was listening to this at work. So I was really happy about that, and I ended up giving this 4.5 stars because I really, really did enjoy it. I will also like to mention now, before I get on to the next book, that before starting this, I DNF'd My Lovely Wife, I think that's what it's called. It was another book that came in at a library, but I felt like when I started it that I didn't really feel like reading it, so I just returned it to the library and DNF'd it, decided this was not my thing. So yeah, I just wanted to mention that I DNF'd that book after, I think I'd listened to an hour or something, an hour and a half of the audio, and it's a 9-hour long audio, so yeah. But I didn't really feel like it. I didn't like I wasn't connected to the story at all. I realized that I hadn't been listening completely, so I was not even sure what was going on. So I decided this was not the book for me right now, at least. So I'm going to just return it to the library. The next book that I finished was Jingo by Pratchett. I realized that Storytel, which is the service that I'm using for the audios for this, decided apparently that I don't know if they decided or they just didn't get the contract renewed or whatever, but at least all of the books by Pratchett, all of them narrated by Nigel Planer and Tony Robinson, the two most that has narrated the majority of Pratchett's books, was removed from Storytel's service by the 17th of January. So I knew that I had to really quickly get through this book so I could read it at least, and then I would need to find out how to read the next coming books, because I'm actually really, really frustrated about this, because I have been reading these in audio form from the beginning almost, and I really, really enjoy Nigel Planer's narrating. I really enjoy the voices that he has for each character. I enjoy how he pinpoints the humor really well. He picks up the humor from the books really well, and yeah, I don't know why they suddenly decided this, because those books has been on the Storytel service for as long as I have been a part of Storytel. So that is, I would say, when did I start this? In 2015, I think. I started on Storytel, and yeah, it's at least 4 years now that I have been part of Storytel, and they've had all of these books all of that time. So I don't know why they suddenly decided they didn't need them anymore. I hope it's not because Audible decided that they needed to have permanent rights to these or something like that, you know, that only from Audible thing. But at least they are available on Audible, but I don't have as many credits, so I'm not to use a month, so I'm not as happy about this. So we'll see what happens. But anyway, long story short, I read this book. I really enjoyed it. This is the third book. No, this is the fourth book in the City Watch. It's again following Corporal Knobs, Carrot, and what's his name? Vimes? Commander Vimes, as they're trying to solve a murder mystery. I really enjoyed this one. But there are some passages and some commentary on some equal like women's rights and stuff that I was not really there for, which was weird, because considering how usually Pratchett handles these things, because like equal rights is a big commentary on equality and how women can also be wizards and stuff, and how they have as much a right to be at the unseen university as the men who become wizards. And this one, it felt like that some of that had left the book, and I don't know why, but I hope it was just because for him to make a point that this was a problem that had to be worked on in this world, or in general, that it was that way that it was supposed to be seen. But overall, it just took some of my enjoyment that I've usually had with Terry Pratchett's book away from this. So because of that, I ended up giving it 4 out of 5 stars. The last thing that I just finished this morning actually, was Come Tumbling Down by Seanan McGuire. This is a very new release. I got it in the mail on Thursday and started reading it immediately because I really just felt that I wanted to read this the second it came in through the door, and I really enjoyed it. As you can tell, maybe I tapped out quite a few things in this one. I didn't start out by tapping it, but then suddenly I felt like there was a couple of quotes I really enjoyed, and so I started just dog-earing those pages. And when I got back to my reading pouch, or the annotation pouch that I have, I added those tabs in and then just continued to add tabs in as I was reading it. I read the majority of this morning. I read like 70 pages of it before, and then I read the last 135-ish pages this morning, and I really enjoyed it. The characters are going to the moors. The moors is where Jack and Jill goes through the door. If you're unfamiliar with this series, it's a series about these kids or young protagonists who have been through doors into different worlds. Like, for instance, take Narnia or Lewis Carroll's Alice in Wonderland, where they go to a certain different world and they come back from that world when they've sort of fulfilled their quest or whatever, or in this case they've done something that made the world angry with them, so they are like banished from that, and these people felt like they belonged in those worlds, but so when they come back they don't really know how to function, and so they go to this boarding school for wayward children. But the second book, we're following Jack and Jill. Jack and Jill are also present in the first book, and we're following their backstory of how they came to the boarding schools, and they were set in the moors. And in this one, the characters from the boarding school are going back to the moors to help out with something, and I'm not going to say more because that will be spoilery. I end up really enjoying it. There's a lot of good quotes in here. One of those that stood most out to me, I'll just find right now. I'm not mentioning a name, but it just says, "He's a hero too, remember, we're all heroes here, sometimes a hero has to fall." And it was just a little bit emotional and a good quote that I really enjoyed. Yeah, I just enjoyed this overall. I gave it 4.5 stars. It's not my favorite because there were a couple of things that I didn't like as much, but Jack is one of my favorite characters from this series overall, so I was really happy to have her back. Yeah, and Sumi is really growing on me. I didn't really like her in the third book, but Sumi has gave a lot to the story, I think, and I have a couple of green tabs. Green tabs is when I think something is funny, and I think she came out with the majority of those. There's one, Christopher, when you look at that horse, does it have skin? If no, good. If yes, I probably shouldn't have eaten those tomatoes. And it's just, I mean, Sumi has a lot of funny quotes in here that I really enjoyed, and yeah, and funny quotes for me is not necessarily something everyone else finds funny, because it could be morbid things that makes me laugh. It could be just silly things. But overall, I just love this one and gave it 4.5 stars, and highly recommend this series overall, because I think they're really short and they're always packed with good commentary on people, on how we are as people, how we see everyone else, and it has a lot of diversity. I think a lot of people have mentioned that, because all of the characters, the majority of the characters have some sort of I think she has like all sorts of diversity. She has like sexuality, and there's something to do with your body weight, and stuff like that. So yeah, I really enjoyed this. I feel like I've talked a little too much about it. So those are all of the things that I have finished so far this month. So I'm only shortly going to tell you what I'm currently working on. I haven't planned out my reading for next week yet. but I have a couple of things that I know I will read, so let's go over those. First things first, I have also been working on Hero of Ages by Brandon Sanderson. I'm about halfway through this book, but I had such a hard time reading it and sticking to it, and it was one of the things that was dragging me down. I know that Terry Pratchett has a tendency to, like, the last 200 pages or something of a book, he just throws everything at you and you read it so fast that you forget that the first part is sometimes a little bit boring. And that's at least how I've been feeling about the majority of the Terry Pratchett books. No, the majority of the Brandon Sanderson books that I've been reading. But so far, the reason that I am not enjoying this as much is the majority of the things we see is from Elend and Vin's perspectives, and Elend is just so frustrating to me. I don't really like his character at all. Vin is alright, I like her, and also I think maybe because of her being a Mistborn and the magical abilities that she has, makes it for interesting passages when it's her perspective that we see things from. But my favorite character is Sazed, or Sazed. I call him Sazed. I know this is wrong. But he is like my favorite character, and we have too little from his perspective, I think. But he has some important things that happens in his chapters as well. There's one more that I really enjoy, but I've forgotten his name currently. But I have put this down for now. I'll pick it up later when I feel like it a little bit more. Another book that I've picked up again is Down These Strange Streets by George R. Martin Gardner. This is an anthology that I've been working on. I'm still about halfway through. I've only read one more story, but it's sort of the one that I've been reading in my bed at evenings before I go to sleep. So I usually only read like between 3 to 7 pages because I get tired. But it is a good way of getting a little bit more reading in over the day, and I like reading a little bit before bed every night because I feel a little bit more relaxed. So yeah. And another thing that I am currently reading, is Jonathan Strange and Mr. Norrell. Yes, even though I've been feeling like stressed out about my reading, I picked up the longest book on my TBR because I'm actually pretty excited about it. And it's not because I want to finish this book in this month, but I also am buddy reading this with 2 other people who has really helped me sticking to this one. And that is Giselle from Giselle Bradley and Anna from Anna's Reading Life. And we are sort of having a few discussions on Voxer about this book, and I have marked off the passages that I want to read every week. So I still have a little bit more to read for today. I want to get to chapter 13, and currently I've read the first 7 chapters, so I'm on chapter 8, and sort of have a couple of chapters left. I like that the pages are a little bit thick, so it looks like I get somewhere every time I've read something. So I'm happy about that. I'm enjoying it so far. It's very different in the writing style than other books the other books I'm reading right now, and which is why I need something shorter and lighter alongside, so I feel like I get somewhere with. But I actually really am enjoying this one, and so I'm happy I'm sticking with it, and I'm happy I'm reading it, and I am happy there's someone else reading it with me, because that definitely keeps me focused on this book as well. Another book that I'm currently reading is Pale Demon by Kim Harrison. This is the 9th book in the Hollow series, and I have only listened to like an hour and a half on Friday, so I have quite a bit of it left. I think it's almost 9 hours long in double speed, so I still have quite a bit to go. But I haven't been enjoying it, and I'm looking forward to seeing where this will go, and I'll definitely finish this over the next week, I think, because of how much I've been listening to audios over the past week. I'm pretty sure I will also listen quite a lot this week. Another book that I'm currently reading, and I only have like 10-15 minutes left, is, I keep forgetting the name, Diamond Fire by Ilona Andrews. This is the 3.5 in the Hidden Legacy series, and it's just a short novella. It's 160 pages long, and it is following, it is about our main characters from the trilogy before are getting married, but this is a novella that is from the perspective of our main characters from that trilogy, their sister, and she's trying to solve a mystery because someone wants to kill the whole wedding reception. So yeah, she has a lot of things going for her, and I think that she might be the new main character in the next coming book, and I'm really excited about that because I really have been enjoying her voice, so I'm excited. I'm really enjoying it. I think I will finish it today, but I haven't finished it yet, so I'll talk a little bit more about it with my next wrap up. The only thing that I have left of audios from my TBR for the month is Illusion by Zoe Parker, which I will probably start soon. But I still have like almost 2 weeks left of the month, so I have quite a while yet. And the Gaslight mystery book, the 10th one, Murder on Bank Street, but I currently don't have access to the audio, so I'm really desperately needing it, so I can get back to it and get to reading it, because but as I said, I have a couple of weeks left, but it usually only takes me a couple of days to listen to this, because I really do enjoy the Gaslight mystery books. But yeah, that is the only things that I have to still read from my TBR to read every audio that I wanted. So like my main qualms is in the physical part, but I've just decided I don't care about those rules I set for myself right now. I'm reading whatever I feel like, because I've decided that is the way that I want to do things. And we'll see if I won't get to those books anyway sometime soon, because I have a feeling that I might be able to work with this. I want to have at least a TBR wrapping on the go all the time, on the working, and then maybe a newer release that I want to read, and a couple of audios. I always have 2 audios going at the same time. I would like maybe an ebook also, just so that it's easy to bring it with me. And then something that I'm reading in my bed, and then we'll see how things go out. I've been watching a lot of videos about how people, the reading routines they have, and that has been really helpful as well, alongside all of the tips that you gave me. So yeah, I love watching those types of videos, so I can binge them, and I can rewatch the same videos over and over again about how people are planning the reading, how they are reading as much as they do. It's some of my favorite things to watch, and I wish more people would do videos about it. And I haven't even made those videos myself, but I just wanted to let you know that's one of my personal favorite types of videos to watch. So yeah, but this was my video for today. I've been filming for 40 minutes. Hopefully I can narrow some of it out, but we'll see how it goes. But let me know in the comments down below about what you have been reading recently. Have you read it in the books that I've been talking about today, and what were your thoughts on them? If you like the video, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, and I'll see you in my next video very soon. Goodbye.